Hello again everybody, this is Gusto and I have another review today. Today we will finish the Australian Defence Forces CR1M or Combat Ration 1 Man with the items that I have left, and these are the ones that I've selected for the dinner portion. I've actually left quite a bit of food here, but we'll do our best to get through it. So what we have is the rest of the biscuits, the main entree which is beef minced savory with vegetables. And there's the nutrition information and contents. Beef noodles. What I'm Better Than You Is says about these is that it's kind of like a ramen noodle product. There is a soup mix, and I had said that this was a butternut, pumpkin, and ham, and actually this is the pea and ham, and you can tell by the listing down here, so it's the pea and ham. There is fruit cake for dessert. And also for dessert, the ADF chocolate ration. We have various spreads that we've gone through, also the sweetened condensed milk that will go in the beverages, and then also to drink we have the chocolate drink. So first things first, let's get the minced beef and vegetables heating up in some boiling water. Next we'll start preparing everything and getting the rest onto a tray. I'm going to start with the noodles, which are beef flavored, and there's no instructions on the preparation of this, only the ingredients on the back and the nutritional information. So I asked I'm Better Than You Is. He said basically just pour hot water over it in a bowl or a canteen cup. I don't have a canteen cup, so we'll use my daughter's Bumblebee bowl. Alright, so yeah, pretty typical ramen noodles in there, and there is a seasoning packet, so that's exactly what this is. Noodles in the bowl, cover it with some hot water, we'll let that go for a little bit. Set that aside. Next we have the country cup soup, and again this is the pea and ham version. Just pour that into this mug here. And it calls for 250 milliliters of water. This should be pretty close. We'll give that a stir. And set it aside. For the rest of the food items, we have the rest of the biscuits. I've discussed those in the previous videos. I'll go and set those out. We have the spreads, which consist of chocolate spread, yeast extract, or Vegemite, and plum jam. The dessert items are fruit cake, there you go. And the ADF chocolate ration. See how that looks. That's pretty common for the chocolate components to kind of get this whitish discoloration as they age. And we'll see how that turns out. Next, the beverages. We have the chocolate drink, which calls for 250 milliliters of hot water. Looks and smells a lot like the United States chocolate beverage mix. We'll give that a stir. Next we have tea, and instant coffee. Set those aside as well. And by now my noodles look like they're well reconstituted, so I'm going to go ahead and add the flavor packet. There you go. Mix that up. Now the main entree has been heating up for about 10 minutes. It's good and hot, so let's get it on the tray. In the package, it doesn't look too much unlike the other entree that we had. It smells like a beef stew. So that's the contents of the pack. Let's get a close-up of the main entree. So there you go. It looks like a beef stew. It has ground beef in there, and there's some chunks of carrots and potatoes and some vegetables in there. Smells pretty good. Alright, so now let's take a trip around the plate. Start with the main entree. Again, this is the minced beef with vegetables. Try to get a little bit of everything. There's an up close, see some potatoes and some ground beef in there. Yeah, not bad. Pretty decent flavor. It's actually a little on the bland side, so I'll be able to use a little salt and pepper and some Tabasco sauce and hopefully help that out a little bit. But the vegetables have a pleasant texture. Next we can try the noodles. Again, these are fairly similar to ramen noodles. These are beef flavored also. There you go. Those are pretty tasty. Really indistinguishable from commercially available ramen noodles. Nice salty beef flavor. Pretty good overall. Next we have the pea soup with ham. It's kind of thin, and from what I can make of the ingredients, it just kind of has a vegetable broth base with non-dairy creamer added to it with some pieces of ham and some croutons in there as well. Let's give that a try. You can taste the ham flavor. Actually, it's a pretty tasty soup. I can't actually find any peas in there or pieces of ham. Really mainly the solids or the croutons. But you can taste the flavor, and that's very pleasant. I'll come back to the crackers. I've reviewed these before with all of the spreads, but I'm going to do them again in case you have not seen those. Start with the chocolate spread. There you go. It's kind of a rich dark chocolate. And that's really tasty. Save the rest of that for later. Next, the plum jam. And I really enjoyed this with the breakfast portion of this meal. It's nice that it comes in a tube. It's resealable. And it's a lot thicker than the US MRE jellies that I've reviewed in the past. Yeah, that's delicious. It's just an intense plum flavor. It's very delicious. And then the Vegemite. The main comment that I saw on the previous videos, I used way too much. I agree with that. I knew I'd made a mistake as soon as I did it, so I'll put a little bit less on there. Just a little smear. A little bit goes a long way. We'll see if it's easier to distinguish the flavor when I haven't put near as much on there. And indeed, that's a much more pleasant flavor. So when I thought about that for a while, about how to describe that flavor, it's almost like you super concentrated a really strong beer and added a whole bunch of salt. That's pretty much what it tastes like. And it turns out that this is a byproduct of beer making. Next, let's try the fruit cake. And on appearance, this is not unlike some of the cake items you see in the modern US MREs. It comes in a similar pouch and has a similar texture. It's almost a little bit oily to the touch, but it's soft and fairly moist. There you go. You can see bits of raisin in there. It smells fine. It smells like a spice cake with some fruity elements there. Get a close-up. You can see a raisin there. And that's not bad, really. It is a fairly strong spice cake. You can taste a strong cinnamon flavor, and the main fruit element that I can tell is raisins. But also listed in the ingredients are some currants. Next we have the chocolate ration, and it is pretty heavily bloomed. It's probably fat oxidation. It usually doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the chocolate other than being stored at a high temperature or improperly tempered during the production process, or moisture has gotten into it. From what imbetterthanyouis states about this chocolate, this is a pretty typical appearance of this chocolate ration. Interesting. That bloom is all the way through it, so it's probably a moisture and heat issue with this chocolate. Actually, I mean, it doesn't taste bad. It's fairly sweet, but it's almost powder-like in texture. Next we have the beverages, which are the tea and coffee and the chocolate beverage. Let's get rid of that tea bag. I am going to add some sugar and the condensed milk to both of those. This stuff was a nice addition to those beverages on the breakfast meal. We'll give those a stir. And give the cocoa a stir again. Start with the tea. That's really nice, especially with that condensed milk. Adds just kind of a subtly sweet flavor to it. And then the coffee, from what I remember, this was a pretty strong cup of coffee, but had a good flavor. Yeah, and that coffee is nice and strong. Very tasty. It's not bitter at all. And lastly, the cocoa beverage. That's really good. Tastes very similar to the US cocoa beverage, maybe a little bit darker chocolate flavor, but very tasty indeed. Now with the main entree, it did need a little bit of salt and pepper, so I'm going to add some salt and pepper and then some Tabasco to heat it up. See if that helps it out a little bit. A little salt, a little pepper, and some Tabasco. I tend to like spicy food, so I'm going to be liberal with it. Let's give that a stir, see what that does to it. I didn't use a whole lot of salt because the Tabasco's fairly salty itself. Let's give that a shot. There's another close-up. You can see some carrots in there too. Oh yeah, that changed it completely. That's really tasty now. A little bit of spice, just enough salt. That's good flavor. Okay, so this has been the third and final installment in the Combat Ration 1 Man from the Australian Defence Forces, and it has been an absolute pleasure reviewing this one. It's been a great adventure exploring this ration. Again, thank you to gundog4314 for sending this to me. I greatly appreciate your generosity. For all of the viewers and all of my ration review friends in the community, thank you very, very much for your support. I truly appreciate every one of you. So please stay tuned. A lot more content to come, and thank you again. So until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.